Live. Hello, good people out there in podcast world, cyber world. Those who are going to be watching this back or listening back to this too on our brand new Rumble channel, YouTube channel, as well as in radio format. Once we get this spent on the radio as well. Um, Today we're going to be talking about Tom Brady. We got presidential candidate 2024, Daryl Constantine with us. He's going to be helping us today and leading us in the conversation to talk about Tom Brady's divorce and all things regarding manhood and much, much more. There's a lot of conversation out there, and just our role as man leading and protecting those who can't protect themselves, especially when we talk about children. So we had this conversation in another program on the Transform You Live show, and we're going to continue this conversation and expand on it a little bit more. So stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. We got a good brother Augustus V with us too as well, and we'll be right back. Hey, what's up, people? Welcome to the God Peel Wisdom Show on the Transform You Media Network. This is the only show where you can try His wisdom. Make sure you check us out by visiting Instagram at God Peel Wisdom. That's God Peel Wisdom on IG. Enjoy the show. Hey, what's up, people? Welcome to the God Peel Wisdom Show. All right. We are back, and as promised, we got Mr. Daryl Constantine. How's it going, brother?
Hey, it's going great, Marcus. Very nice to be with you. And also, Mr. Augustus V, nice to be here with both of you guys. And I want to say hello to everyone tuning in right now. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, indeed. Brother Augustus, how are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. Glad to be back.
Yeah, so as promised on the other side, we talked a little bit, and we kind of continuing on this conversation. But we want to start with like the leading topic. Let's address the first elephant and in the room, so to speak. With Mr. Brady. Who's who I definitely admire. He's a great athlete, definitely a good model of a man. In some respects, I mean, everybody has their flaws and everything they can work on. But I definitely like to hear from you and as well, Brother Augustus. What you guys, let's start with Daryl. What are your initial thoughts regarding this situation here?
Yeah, so this is a topic I know quite well. I grew up in Boston and saw all of this kind of firsthand. I remember the game, the Mo Lewis hit on Bledsoe, the wonderful 11-5 season, the Super Bowl, and everything that happened. I did become aware. I kind of got hip to some of the more concerning things that we're seeing playing out now. About 10 years ago, a friend of mine, actually, they used to have dinner with the Bradys once a year, Tom and Gisele, and there's this kind of funny story that, they would go there and have dinner, and Gisele would be just riding him and just insulting him and kind of scolding him, yelling at him, treating him like he's, a little boy. And that was kind of the first indication that there were definitely some Jada and Will Smith vibes at work in that relationship. And I watched a transformation begin to happen with Tom and began to find out some unfortunate things about Gisele. And this stuff is all public knowledge. The articles,
Yeah.
This stuff has been out in broad daylight for many years, and it's a bit of a sad topic, and it sort of parallels a lot of what's happened nationally and even globally, the moral declension and the feminization of our men. And Gisele openly practices witchcraft. She makes no bones about this. She talks about it on talk shows. She's been very open about this, and she declares herself as a good witch. And these are confirmed things that Tom Brady in interviews confirmed, that she would tell him before games which games he would win, tell him which seasons they would win the Super Bowl, and say, the spirits just want you to do this, this, and this. The spirits want you, and she would make little altars for him. And he actually wears magic stones before games. And all of this, so there was a storm coming, and I saw it coming for many years. And now it's kind of reaching ahead. And, I had a friendship with his father. We had a loose correspondence, mostly positive for several years. But about 3 or 4 years ago, I kind of actually gently reached out to him and said, hey, you might want to take a look at this because Tom Brady was raised Christian, raised
Yeah.
Catholic. And, we understand as Christian men, the term for anything that isn't that is idolatry and sorcery. And in
Mhm.
this case, it's not a speculative thing. This is openly what it is. And, Gisele has been weaving her witchcraft for Tom and has slowly taken over his identity. And he has given her the reins to do that. He has authorized her to make all of his decisions for him, including the decision to leave the Patriots to go to Tampa Bay. That went well for him. But this is about things much more important, actually, than results on the field. This is about a man's soul, and this is about the soul of his children. And what has been going on now is, if you've been reading the tea leaves and paying attention, Tom Brady has essentially destroyed his credibility and his integrity. If you look at, for example, the way in which he's been acting, I don't know if you guys remember when he went on The Shop with LeBron James and joking around, saying that 90% of the things that he said, he didn't mean, and made this comment, this really edgy comment about in the off season, he decided not to go to a team because they wanted to stick with that MFer. And he
Mhm.
didn't name who that person was, and the reality check on that is that that's actually not an edgy thing to do. That's
No.
actually a very cowardly thing to go out and to call someone an MFer, but not to say who that person is and to leave it up to others to speculate which one of the 4 or 5 people it was.
Mm.
So this new tough guy, Tom Brady, is not very tough at all. And this little web now is becoming very bad. And now, with the situation with the divorce looming with Gisele, she's now terrorizing him because he has given her the authority to make all of these decisions. And now he looks around and these aren't his things. These are her tools, her weapons. And now the off season, people know that he didn't show up for training camp, and when he came back, his face looked very different. And this is something that has been going on for some time. And I think that this is part of the root conflict that you're seeing in that household is that's her influence on him is, hey, Tom, let's go to the clinic. This will be fun. No, this is not fun. This is not something that a 7-time Super Bowl winning quarterback needs to be doing.
Right.
And I think that he was rightly very embarrassed when social media picked up on that. And probably that's the cause of the conflict. But what we also know about these people is that they craft their own narratives. And
Mhm.
the way in which he left New England, this is a very good example of this. Tom Brady, under Gisele's leadership, had decided years earlier that he was going to be leaving that franchise. And that was her decision. And again, we have the actual stories to back this up. After winning the Super Bowl, her dragging him to Robert Kraft's house like a little boy, screaming and yelling, and essentially demanding to be traded. This was, again, this is not normal behavior for a masculine guy. This is
Right.
not normal behavior. And now this is the third time that he's missed OTAs, and now this year, even additional time in training camp for whatever stuff relating to Gisele. People make a big deal about him going home to her, retiring, whether he does or he doesn't. A lot of people in their 40s are still working. So what is this horrible thing that she's been left at home as a 42-year-old so-called model with literally zero curves? What is so horrible about her being left at the house to raise Tom Brady's children? So now this conflict is coming to a head, and AB's gotten involved in this now. And by the way, if you follow the stuff with AB, I can tell you right now, I know exactly what the start of the problem is with the Tom Brady. And AB's been knocked all over the place, and he's been used and abused, and he's a very confused person. But Tom Brady and this little clique, he's got the TB12 thing with Alex Guerrero, the trainer. What they do, this guy is essentially a snake oil salesman. He's an MLM type guy, and he got his hooks into Brady. And this was another thing that I, again, warned his father about 10 years ago. I said, hey, just a reminder, your son's pretty good at being a quarterback. He doesn't need to be selling vitamins on TomBrady.com to his audience. He's okay. He doesn't need a second job selling somebody else's snake oil. But what happens is these types of entities, these MLM-based programs and products, they do by nature operate like a cult. And I don't know if you've ever spent any time in Los Angeles, but you've been in Los Angeles, you know this type very well. This is 50% of the economy. This is the magic water cult, the magic smoothie cult. And I'm all in favor of owning health and wellness, and I think it's a very important topic. It's part of my platform. But I have a magic water machine come in my house. It fixes everything in your life, and oh, by the way, I can sell it to you, and then you can sell it to other people. This is a demonic business model.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of person, on the one hand, Alex Guerrero, and he's been discredited. He's been sued for making these types of claims. So he had two very demonic influences come in. And Tom Brady, this kind of nice working class kid in the middle, he's got a woman running his life, making all of his decisions around magical gemstones and talking to spirits through altars. And he's got another guy who's using him to sell his $50,000 stretches. This is where, long segue, the AB thing comes in. Because if you've noticed now, Tom Brady empowered, Tom Brady bringing people to the Buccaneers, making them the place to be. Well, part of that, what happens is, come be a part of the TB12 clique. And that started, Rob Gronkowski was the first guy to kind of join into the TB12 clique. And you saw them, this was when they sat out of the OTAs together. I mean, this was a very big story. You essentially had Gronk and Brady unionizing against Tom Brady. And really, when you understand that conflict, Belichick is the architect of the Patriot way. And this has been going on for so long. And you know this, you're a Milwaukee guy, a Bucks guy. You know your region better than anybody else. So those of us that grew up in Boston, we know the reality, which is that Tom Brady didn't pop out of the womb as Peyton Manning. He was a game manager. And this is a guy who threw 18 touchdown passes to 12 interceptions his rookie season and threw one touchdown in the playoffs in that first Super Bowl. So the whole Brady versus Belichick question, it's sort of a ridiculous question because Tom Brady, in all likelihood, probably never plays a snap in the NFL if it's not for Bill Belichick. And, Brady did not make Belichick. And the question is not, can Belichick prove that he can win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady? The question is, can he win a Super Bowl without an elite quarterback? And he already did that the first 3 times because Tom Brady was a game manager for that. So this is where understanding you want to go somewhere else later in your career, surround yourself with weapons, he's entitled to make that decision. But where the line in the sand kind of had to be drawn is when he started playing the media games to push a narrative that just wasn't true, suggesting and actually stating, people still say this. How does Bill Belichick look for pushing Tom Brady out the door? That didn't happen. And we know that. We know Robert Kraft. How much money will it take? So to leave is one thing, but to turn around and to actually use someone like Skip Bayless, who, for anybody that hasn't figured it out, is Tom Brady's publicist,
You're
to
right.
push a very hostile narrative that this guy pushed you out of town, to divide the fan base and make it difficult for that franchise to be successful after. That's where, okay, we have to set the record straight here a little bit. We have to put this on ice, and we have to really examine the whole case of Tom Brady, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. He is the GOAT. He does have the greatest legacy, but he's a unique GOAT in the fact that his career is a 1 in a million shot. And if it goes any other way, there's a very good chance that we don't even know who he is, right? Michael Jordan could have been drafted anywhere else, and he still would have been Michael Jordan. LeBron James still would have been LeBron James, right? That's not the
Right.
case with Tom Brady. So, reality, Aaron Rodgers, and I've said this for 10 years, Aaron Rodgers is a statistically and factually a better quarterback than Tom Brady. He is, in my opinion, the best actual thrower of the football. And that actually carries over even to the playoffs as well. He has a passer rating of 10 points higher than him. So the
Yeah.
question is, if you've got better statistics and you are a better thrower of the football and you have less success in the playoffs, what does that mean? Well, it means that your team hasn't performed as well as the other guy. Going into the weeds a little bit on that, but the real topic here, the concern is about the witch spirit that Tom Brady has allowed to take over his life. And now he is bending himself into a pretzel, and it's not going to go well. The AB thing, he tried to bring him into the TB12 clique, and you saw AB, he put Guerrero on blast because he was asking him for $50,000 for his massages. So it's, yeah, come with us. We'll rehabilitate you. We'll get you back on the team. This is why you have Tom Brady force feeding him 11 passes to get a bonus on the end of the season. It's so that he can pay Alex Guerrero. And I think AB looked and realized that this guy doesn't care about me. This guy isn't my friend. This guy is using me. And I think
Right.
that you're seeing that now lashing out. And it's certainly a bit of, it's not a Christian term, but the term karma sort of applies here. If you look at some of the stuff on social media that's going on with AB and some of the different things with Tom Brady, the way that he retired and unretired this year, I saw the exact same thing going on when you had those stories coming out about BA saying that he and Leftwich had issues with BA. There were no issues there. What that was about is that's about planting the narrative, because that was going to be the justification for him going to Miami. And that was the decision that Gisele had made for him. And that blew up in their face. And then,
Right.
Tom Brady likes to look like he's a nice guy helping Todd Bowles get a coaching job. But real talk, he's almost certainly the reason why Brian Flores got fired. So it's all of these slimy deals behind the scenes, and you can go win another 7 Super Bowls, but this is not respectable behavior for a man. And now he's got some very real consequences coming to him in his personal life. So I'm sort of here to issue the warning one last time.
Mhm.
The right thing to do here is to ditch the witch and repent and turn back to Father God. And I think, ironically, that's kind of what the country needs to do. So a little bit of a long-winded introduction, but I covered probably 50% of the things that I had on my to-do list there.
Hey, but hey, it was good stuff. Augustus, I'll let you lead. With some, any questions or any insightful comments or things you want to pass along to Daryl, Mr. Constantine.
Man, man, that Mr. Mr. Constantine, you opened quite the can of worms there. um, man, there's a lot with this. I'm over here. I'm on Twitter right now, and I'm seeing this post that AB just posted on
Yeah. Hmm.
on Tom Brady and
Hmm.
his marriage. For those that haven't seen it,
Hmm.
it's a cover of the children's book Daddy Doesn't Live Here Anymore,
Hmm.
and it's photoshopped where Tom Brady is he has his packed
On
bags
the doorstep, and
on
AB's
the
in the window. Yeah.
it's just hilarious, but it's very sad and it's very real. And
Yeah.
man, I'm that's all I'm gonna say on that. But there's a couple of things that I do want to point out with this relationship, and I want to kind of hit on some things that a lot of the audience that's listening could kind of look out for, because a lot of people may look at these issues and say, "Oh, well, that's that's Tom Brady. Like, I mean, he he's the man. Of course, he's going to come across bigger problems. Look at how much money he has. Of course, he's going to have bigger problems." But these are issues that we're all dealing with. Everyone that are in the marriage game, everyone that's looking to get into the marriage game, everyone that's really in America that's looking for what we call love. And there's a couple of things that we have to look at. Some things that Tom Brady may have done wrong, and some things that Gisele may have done wrong. So first off, I want to point out the work-life balance issue. Um, we already know, what Tom Brady does. We already know the type of work that goes into his job. Um, Gisele, on the other hand, um, she's a working woman. She's a top model, supermodel, and that
Not
makes
in
her
my
a
top 10, but yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, mine.
yeah. So it's she's not in a lot of people's top 10, but she's acting like she's number one. See,
Hmm.
and that makes her a career woman. And there's something that I want a lot of the brothers that's listening to this to understand: career women are not feminine. Career women are not feminine. Uh, it worked in the 60s. It was permissible in the 80s. But I'm sorry, the moment Clinton came in and these new stream of laws came out, it's just not, it doesn't work anymore. Career women, they're absolutely not feminine, and they want to do everything that we get the privileges to do as working men, as the ones that bring the deer on the table and has it there for somebody to prepare to feed the children. See, but that's one thing. So she's a career woman. She's not a housewife. Second of all, there's a point that you made that's very big. She's a witch. She's a witch. Um, Marriage, whether people remember, know this or not, it's a God-given institution. Marriage is given by God, and whether people like it or not, I know they don't like it these days, especially in this side of the world. But marriage is not supposed to work without God.
Mm.
Is not supposed to work. If a marriage worked without God, they got lucky. They did something that was godly. But either way, God was in it. When you watch the black and white movies, those marriages, they worked out great. Even if the husband was a rebel, it worked out great because they followed godly principles that led to a good marriage. Gisele, she's a witch. You can't have a godly marriage with the witch as the wife, as the mother of the children. It's not going to work. Another thing, and then I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic. America's laws. America's laws reward divorce. And the reason why, for those that may not recognize this, but divorce brings the money back into society.
Mhm.
See, the wedding is one thing, but you can only marry one time until you get divorced. See, so long-term marriages, it keeps the money within the legacy. Divorce brings the money back into society. Long-term marriages keeps the money within the legacy. So if the society is going to benefit from a marriage, unless the husband is a Fortune 500, Fortune 2000 tycoon, then they're going to have to divorce for that money to go back into society. See, because the marriage could have upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars placed into it. But how many times are marriages getting married that stay with the same people that don't break up? So for that money to go back into society, it has to be by way of fees, court fees, and alimony, also by way of divorce. So when you look at these things all together, there's the work-life balance issue. Um, what can gentlemen do to avoid this issue? You marry a woman that is feminine. You marry a woman that is not necessarily a career woman for the entire marriage or for the entire children's childhood. You marry someone that is willing to become a housewife. See. Second of all, this one should be easy. Don't marry a witch. Don't marry a witch.
Yeah.
And thirdly, understand that these laws are not in place for you to stay married. So you have to fight against these things. Not fight against the law, but understand that these things are against you. And Tom Brady, he has his special, scenarios and issues that he's dealing with. But there's a Tom Brady with all of us because we're all dealing with these issues.
So, Daryl,
Yeah.
after hearing that, and this be for both of you guys, too, and hearing that, Tom Brady is a part of this this glorified network marketing clique. So, because that's what it is. It's a glorified network marketing scheme. There's a lot of those things that go along, and I can't really trust those things because you get in one of those things, they treat you like you're in a cult. Um, and being a part of those surround yourself around those type of people, and we just look at the structure of how our government is being run, how how we expect leaders to stand firm on a foundation that was built on Christian values and Christian principles, but they allow these cult like people to pull the strings, and these big pharma companies, these other lobbyers that come in, and very similar to what's happening to Mr. Brady, and you mentioned at the end of your spiel that America has to turn away from the witch too. How do
Yep.
we do that? How do we do that?
Well, it's as simple as getting on your knees and and telling God that you're sorry. I mean, and that's kind of the first step is you've got to repent and you've got to turn back. And I do want to put my politician hat on here for a second and let the ladies watching, career women, if this is what you choose to do, I don't think anybody on here is suggesting that you shouldn't be able to. It's a question about what's more desirable to us as men, and I've always looked at it as a luxury to be able to not need somebody to also be out working 40 or 60 hours a week. It boggles my mind why a professional athlete who makes money like Tom Brady would feel the need to get with someone like that. But that in and of itself, yeah, the big thing is this is a witch. This is an openly practicing witch, and not only marrying her, but actually giving her the head of the household. And you can see very clearly if you look that she has been making all of the decisions in that household, and she has turned Tom Brady into this slimy sort of two-faced toad at the end of her leash, and going around and shaking Aaron Rodgers' hand, but at the same time Skip Bayless is out there trashing these people. And why is he doing that? Why does he have so much hatred towards Aaron Rodgers? Why does he have so much hatred towards Bill Belichick? It's because these are the two people that, sort of cast a bit of shade on the myth of Tom Brady as just the greatest thing since sliced bread. So when you work the media channels in that way, and this is now what he's running into, this is all Gisele's Hollywood witchcraft infrastructure that she brought into the household and said, Tom, now we're going to show you how you win the breakup with the Patriots and make them look like, like they pushed you out of town. But now she's telling him, because I don't actually think that she wants the divorce. And you have to understand that every story with celebrities, when you read these things, friends say this is happening or that's happening. 9 out of 10 times, this is just celebrities telling their story. And what ends up happening is that the people that aren't interested in playing games with the media, like Aaron Rodgers, who does the Pat McAfee show and is very frank and honest and tells you what's on his mind, tells you what he does ayahuasca in the off season. He has this reputation as being a diva. When you have Tom Brady flipping the entire NFL around, leaking his retirements around championship games, and so now she's sort of pushing all of these stories out there to terrorize Tom and letting him know, don't you dare go away from this because I'm going to humiliate you afterwards. I don't think that Gisele at age 42, and part of where I think her stress comes from is, oh my gosh, my modeling career, which I think she, again, last time I'm going to say it, she should be very thankful that she had one to begin with. But she's, what do I do now? And I'm losing all of this time because he's out there winning Super Bowls. She does not really, what's there for her after this? So what she's doing is she's psychologically terrorizing Tom through the media, using these different things to say, hey, Tom, if you don't come back to me. And this was also, part of it was just to cover up for the story about his face, because this was a very embarrassing thing for him. So let's weave this narrative, but now it's kind of taken on a tale of its own. But we have to do it very simple. We have to rebuke the demons that are destroying our society. And the witch spirit is certainly a very big. We have to rebuke the stuff when it's predatory to children. We have to call it out and we have to cast it out. And we all have our preferences. It sounds like all of us here prefer to be with a more feminine woman, but it's okay if other women out there don't want to do that. But we can't have witches running our lives. And we look at Tom Brady, this great athlete, the downfall of what he's going through. It is essentially the same thing that's happened. So the big part of it also, because I don't like it when it sounds like we're kind of lecturing women, because I've always sort of said, if you do believe in a biblical hierarchical view, you recognize that, yeah, the man's at the head of the table, but that's a responsibility to be the steward and the guardian of our women. And when the women are misbehaving, it's really speaking to us not fulfilling our role at that head of the table. So I'm much more interested in helping build men up together so that we can come back to being proper, good, healthy Christian leaders. We have to make that first step as men. We have to turn back to God. We have to go back to church. We have to, and then start bringing our family, start reading scripture to them, reading the Bible. Societally, and this fits into my vision to make America Christian again, we want to be encouraging. Again, we have the 18 years paid maternity leave. We want to make this easier because some people, I used the word luxury and privilege earlier. A lot of people don't have that luxury and privilege. And the whole thing about women in the workplace, this started as a reaction to World War II because the men were overseas and we needed help here at home, and the women rolled up their sleeves quite literally and helped out. But the men came home and we kept the women in the workplace. And a lot of times this is not really, we've used this as an equality thing, but For a woman to be working in a factory or working at a Chipotle, it's almost degrading, because a woman has a natural God-given value to a man, to where she really doesn't need to work if she doesn't want to. And in fact,
Yeah.
the woman has a very powerful role of inspiring the man with her beauty and her warmth that she brings to the household. That's worth it. We'll conquer the world for that. So it's kind of
That's
about
right.
kind of reharmonizing. And we've been investing as a society, we've been investing money in the opposite. We've been investing to push women to schools. So now I want to say, look, if you guys want to keep the mother at home, let's give you something like $3,000 a month for 18 years, because we
Mhm.
know how much better the children turn out in that model. Just statistically speaking, this is actually going to be a massive boon for the economy. So it's not so much about, and this is where the last thing I'm going to say, because I know I'm hogging up the airtime here, but I am a little bit passionate about this project,
Oh no,
this
this you
topic
all good.
rather.
This is great.
Uh, but all of this, I mean, and even Gisele, she is behind all of these slimy things that Tom's been doing, and has blow up in his face. But at the end of the day, Tom Brady is still responsible for this, right? I mean, we look in the Bible. Salome may have ordered the head of John the Baptist, but Herod is the one that delivered it to her.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
he is accountable for his actions. And he has brought on some very real biblical, scriptural consequences that are going to have generational impact on the Brady family, which is essentially what I told his father. Uh, if he does not, he's gone past the point of stopping. Damage has been done, same way it has for us as a nation. A lot of people on the Christian spectrum will tell you it's too late, we're under judgment. That may well be true, but the only thing to do is to turn around, get on your knees, and ask God for forgiveness. That's what we need to do as a nation. And that's what Tom Brady needs to do. He needs to get the nonsense out of his life. Maybe it's not maybe it's not divorce Gisele. Maybe it's put her in her place. Maybe it's tell her this is a Christian household and you're welcome back, because I have children with you, but the witchcraft has got to go. And maybe it's some public apologies to people like Bill Belichick, that he has damaged along the way with these slimy behaviors. So those are my last words on that.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and Brother Augustus, I'll let you get some last words, and too, and we dealt with this Will and Jada complex, like we did a couple of episodes on
Yeah.
this, and
Oh yeah.
just the man, everything you're covering right now, brother Daryl. We talk a great deal on this topic, and that's why I'm, it's a blessing to have you on our platform here tonight to to
Thank you.
just really give our audience a special treat, and a further zone in expansion on the Tom Brady situation, and how it just relates to, like, just what's happened with our nation, and what's happened with a lot of men in their own households, and what the battle is, and I see just this whole idea of repentance, and and really not so much, I guess, casting the stone at women, but you know um, restoring women back to their natural place, and and then and this allowing for men to flourish again, so man can be real man, and really lead the way they're supposed to lead. This is great, Brother Gus's. I hand it over to you to what to for some other additional remarks.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Man, out of everything that I'm hearing today, something that just keeps coming up is that this woman is a witch, and it's just such bad news. Um, but I don't think a lot of folks out there, the men in the men more in particular, I don't think we're realizing what witches are.
Hmm.
And this brings me to a question that we all need to ask ourselves, the listeners. What is a witch? What is a witch? See, because I think a lot of us let witches in our own home without even realizing it. Pop culture, Hollywood, they have done a number on us. For those that don't know, I don't want to get too deep. That's becoming my favorite line. I don't want to get too deep.
That'll be another conversation. We'll be here for another hour.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But Hollywood, people don't understand. Witchcraft is so embedded into Hollywood. Hollywood is the same type of wood that is used by Harry Potter for his magic wand.
Hmm.
This is the type of wood that witches and sorcerers use for their magic wands. It's called Hollywood. That's why when you will see old school renditions of a witch, she'll be flying on a broom. That broom was made out of Hollywood. She would carry the broom around and she can make a potion on the spot. She already has her Hollywood with her. See?
Mm.
So people don't understand when you allow Hollywood to put something in your mind, you're allowing a very subtle spell. Just look at all the actors for Disney. How many of them committed suicide and how many of them are bat crazy now? See?
Wow.
So we got to ask ourselves, what is a witch? Ladies, I'm sorry. I'm not speaking to you right now. But if you're listening, don't, this is very insightful and you could definitely benefit from learning this. All right. But I'm speaking to the fellas right now. Fellas, if your girlfriend or your wife, if she does yoga, I'm sorry, she's a witch. Yoga in America is really a abomination in comparison to Eastern yoga. Yoga in America, your girl, she goes to the class wearing leggings.
Mm.
She's doing highly sexual positions in these leggings.
Wow.
And she will tell you that she's doing it to generate her sexual energy. She'll tell you this to your face. That's a witch. That's a sex witch. Horoscopes, if she tells your sign and pays attention to your personality due to your birthday, that's a witch. That's witchcraft. Horoscopes is witchcraft. If she has ever played with a Ouija board, she's a witch. If she has ever read Harry Potter growing up, if she even keeps up with it today, she's a witch. She knows how to do those spells because they teach you those spells in Harry Potter. I could keep going. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah,
Law of attraction. Law of attraction. This is other stuff that we get into also, which is witchcraft. And this is where, as men, we do have to. What you're saying is absolutely correct, and it's not to chastise the women, but you go down. This is how you end up where Tom Brady is, where he's given his soul over to a witch. It starts with wish fulfillment and this is idolatry and sorcery, and it's just go back to scripture, and that is our responsibility as men. The girls that play around with the horoscopes, but yeah, that's not something as men that we want to be co-signing on. And actually, when it comes time to make that family, you have to put those boundaries up. This is the big issue, because this is our fundamental responsibility as men, is to put boundaries up in the society and in the family, and we haven't done that. Because we didn't do that, we have allowed the demonic spirits to have unfettered access to our women and our children. So what they're dealing with, it goes back to us. And I am so glad that you talked about Hollywood, because you're absolutely right. This is the whole, and Gisele is a Hollywood person. What people see on their televisions, they don't understand that they are watching a powerful black magic based brainwashing military grade weapon that has been installed in their households and now on their phones. And we do have to look at this stuff much more seriously. And this is where I'm all in favor of allowing people to speak, like the conversation that we're having. But we have, because of this freedom of speech, we've given a pass to something that is in our homes that's shaping the spiritual and intellectual identity of our entire country. And the people that are behind the programming do not have our best interests in mind, to put it mildly. And if you look into the history, and it's one of those things, when you look at it, it's there. So this is something that sets me apart, because Republicans are limited government, small government, this or that. No, we have to look at this stuff. We have to look at we have to push the pornography out. We need a federal ban on pornography. We need to monitor what is going on in our televisions. We have the right to do that in a democratic society. The same way that, we say that we don't want you to be able to sell cigarettes to minors. We have the right to say that we don't want you to push this stuff into our homes, because now they're telling us how it's going to be. And that's not how it's got to work. So we, the people, have to stand up and actually give our right that the democracy allows us to put some meaningful standards. Because once you see it, and I can tell Augustus the Fifth, your eyes are open to this. Once you see it, you can't look away. And when you realize the impact, this is the term manufactured consent. A free society, people go around making choices, but they don't understand that they've been conditioned to make these choices. And the choices that we've been conditioning our citizens to make are decisions that lead to hell, essentially, physically and metaphysically as well. So that could be, I think it sounds like we could talk about that topic much more as well. But I want to thank you, Augustus, for bringing that up, because it's so critically important. And we do need to impose that biblical perspective of, okay, what is this? Write a list of how much money I'm worth, and the galaxy gives it to me. And does this line up with the Bible? No, it doesn't. It doesn't line up with the Bible. And what's ironic is that the Bible is very powerful. When you read God's promises, ask in my name and you shall receive, right? But you're not asking for it in God's name. You're asking for it in your name. And you're saying, I'm the universe, and the universe gives to me whatever I want. And that mindset, that is Luciferianism. That is the core of being Lucifer, being at one with everything, being the God of the universe and making it whatever you want. And that quickly becomes hell, because we're actually not very good at making things how we want. It's actually best when we're obedient to God.
Right.
We have a very wonderful process of how we're able to receive God's blessings, and that's through the example of Jesus Christ. And in a society, in a country, a Christian country, that's the way that we do it. And this is the subtle trick, because it is magic. It is quite literally magic. They changed the perception of reality. They shoved a generation of kids with psychoactive drugs. And over a 5 or 10 year period, they completely flipped the reality upside down. We need to go back to that and realize that we threw out what this country is, which is Christianity. I mean, that's what the gift. It's not capitalism. That's not the gift to give to the world. It's the gift of Christianity, and it starts at home. It's a micro and a macro. And the good news is that all of us as men have the ability to put lovely homes together for ourselves in this world. I'm not worried about any of your listeners that are in on this stuff, because you guys are all kicking butt. You're probably making money in the stock markets and all of these things. But it's about the bigger picture. We want to put those boundaries up. And this is where, when we talk about children's rights, and I won't use charged topics, but when we talk about children's rights and the things that we're pushing on children, we revert to, don't tell my child that. It's not enough. You don't get to tell any child that. You don't get to tell any child, something that disorders their identity in such an intimate way. So we have to actually put our big boy pants up as men and say, this is not okay. You're not okay to sell this in Target. I'm not okay with that. And that's really the one issue that you're not really allowed to talk about. And for me, it's almost the only issue that I care about. I don't care about tax rates. I don't care about these things. Whatever you want, let's have it. The thing that's not okay, the thing I care about is children. And we have to go back to defending the children And it starts with us. It falls to us as men. We're not going to get our way out of this by finding cute girls to go and say messages about liberty to. It's got to be us as men. We have to step forward
That's
and
right.
and right the ship and put those barriers back up, because we love our women and our children too much to allow them to be attacked by these demons any longer.
That's right.
Well, that's a great way to, like, really wrap a bow around this thing. And can't thank you guys enough. Very, it's a very much an honor, and glory to our God for this moment today. Um, do us a favor, and just once again, I know we got to scroll in. For those who are listening, out of your own mouth, just tell us, what your website is, and how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, it's very simple. I don't do social media. It's Constantine2024.com. That's the campaign website. We're just starting it now. My main focus right now is challenging Donald Trump, challenging his leadership or lack thereof, generating a conversation. We have to wait until the midterms or the election coming next month before we can kind of formally do things. But
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to talking to anybody. I've made a decision not to talk to the media outlets because both sides are kind of bought and paid for. And you can
Yeah,
see they're both manufacturing their sort of consent. And it's just it's not an interesting conversation. I want to talk to real people like both of you gentlemen that were on here tonight. So I look forward to hearing from anyone, and I appreciate everyone tuning in and listening to my ideas one way or another. And I do want to say, even if you think I'm totally wrong, what I promise you is it's from my heart. I'm doing what I think is best, and I assume the same for everyone else. And I just encourage everybody to turn to their heart and look at that. But wow, this was really fun. I think I said my top 10 NBA list, so I'll shoehorn that in here real quick. I got
yeah.
Jordan, LeBron, Wilt, Kareem, Shaq, Tim Duncan, Hakeem, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant. That's my 10.
Hey, that's
Uh,
not a bad list.
and then Bird, Magic. I do have Bird ahead of Magic,
Uh-huh.
slightly. And yeah, okay. I got my 10 in. So yeah. Elgin
Yeah,
Baylor, Jerry West. Yeah, okay.
yeah. That's
Yes,
not a
sir.
bad list. That's a great, that's a great team right there.
And
So
Steph Curry, 15.
yeah, you got to add stuff in there. So definitely,
He finally got his MVP. He did need the MVP because
yeah.
as a top dog and to have 4 championships and no finals MVP, but he's there. But I put Durant is better than him, in my opinion. I still
Mhm.
think Durant's a better player.
Yeah, Steph a much better leader. But Durant, is definitely skill overall. Yeah, definitely KD.
Yeah. Few
Definitely
years,
ability as well.
Giannis will be on that list. He'll be on that list pretty soon. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So yeah. So with that being said, my cat came in to kind of interrupt the party here. Ladies and gentlemen, but boys and girls, those out there who's listening and who care to continue to support the show. Uh, if you're watching on YouTube and on Rumble, because this episode will be landing on Rumble. It'll be our first episode on Rumble and our first episode on our new God Pill Wisdom podcast channel. On Do us a favor by liking, subscribing, leave us a comment. Do share with someone someone you don't know to further the message, and also leave reviews too. If you got direct questions from Mr. Constantine, we will pass that along to him as well. Or just go straight to the website. And we have that in episode descriptions for the playback as well. Those who joined us live, there was a bunch of you guys who joined us live. Thank you guys. I will make sure to pass along your comments to Mr. Constantine. If you have any comments, you can always leave those comments after the stream is over with too, and I will. We will get those comments. Don't forget to follow us on IG at God Pill Wisdom. We're on IG, and you can also find us as well. Again, YouTube, Rumble, and we're on the Transforming Media Network. So until next time, oh yeah, almost forgot, AugustusVaughn.com. A lot of good stuff there on the Wisdom Library. So
Yes, sir.
AugustusVaughn.com. So that's all we got. Until next time, many blessings, peace, and lots of love. We are out.
Thank you, Marcus, Augustus. God bless you both.
God bless.
And God bless.